Welcome to Cage Minds. I'm Micah Frankel. Interviews are energized by our friends at Dubby. 10% off with the checkout code Cage Minds. And shout out to Barber, Gabe's Fades for the haircut. Check them out at Lobo Plaza here at Albuquerque, New Mexico, ahead of Peak FC 46 and his middleweight title defense. And I'm standing here so I can look taller because it's not even like comparable, the size difference. Lajuan Davis, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I can't complain, enjoying life. I get to compete, in a week, so I'm feeling good.
You're the defending champion. That's got to be a cool feeling too.
It is, man. There's definitely the expectation, right? And so there's a little bit of pressure that comes with that, but I don't know. I mean, for me, I just look at it as another fight, and so, yeah, man, just getting ready to perform.
It's another fight. You're coming off of a spectacular performance in a fight. Do you believe in that momentum building kind of feeling?
Absolutely, but I mean, every fight's new, every opponent's fresh. So I try not to rest on my laurels too much, with I got the last win. So, I'm bringing that energy into the next fight. I don't know, when I get a new opponent, it's kind of all right, a reset, and go back to drawing board, try to see things that I need to work on. Yeah, man, and prepare a new game plan for a new opponent. And so, I don't know, I feel like I'm going in with more new energy than anything,
And with Peak, we do the five-minute rounds, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So how does that feel? Because a lot of bigger shows look at that. How much 5-round experience do you have? And it gives you the opportunity to put together that game plan, get ready for those big moments. And I feel like when you have that extra 10 minutes, it does do a lot for creativity and game planning. Absolutely.
I think, honestly, at this level, man, I'm not trying to go the full 5 rounds, and that's kind of my mentality going into this next fight. Not that I'm chasing a finish or anything like that, but I just did the work, in preparation to make sure that, we can finish this in 2 or 3 rounds, something like that. But if anything, this guy turns out to be tough, like the last guy, I'm prepared to go 5 rounds as well. But yeah, I mean, in the preparation, you just prepare for the fight not to end, essentially, just have that mentality that just stay on the attack no matter what.
You're telling me before the interview, you've been doing this for a while. Taekwondo was the start and the base. What led to this martial arts journey then? What was the catalyst for it?
I think the biggest thing was, I was always a fan of martial arts, Bruce Lee and all those things, all those guys, Jet Li, Jackie Chan. But I think, I don't know, I dealt with bullies and stuff kind of growing up, and so my mom always wanted me to learn how to defend myself, so that was kind of catalyst for it to initially get into it, although I've always been a fan of martial arts. And then, yeah, man, I got into it and I loved it, enjoyed it, and wanted to see how I could make a career out of it, and so between teaching and competing, man, I'd say I've been very blessed, man, to be able to have this journey, martial arts, and here we are.
How big were the martial arts then for you growing up?
Man, kind of everything, my life's kind of circled around it. Yeah, I've kind of built my life to where, I can be a martial artist every single day, and yeah, it kind of sets the pace, kind of sets the tone for my life, and yeah, I see myself going the rest of my life being a martial artist and training, and yeah, doing what I can outside of the gym to give back, because ultimately it's the people that has allowed me to continue this career and do what I love.
Was it in front of the TV as a kid? Was it in that dojo? When was it that the real idea sparked you that you said, I want to do this for the rest of my life?
I think it was in the dojo, being able to do it firsthand. I was always a fan, but man, when I got in there and witnessing myself get better, start from not being able to throw a front kick above my waistline, just because it's freaking tight, to being able to freaking kick, above my head, things like that. It was that experience of progress and growth that made me stick with it and love it. And then you just start seeing that everywhere in life. It's not just the physical martial art and the fighting. It's man, it's growth in your personal life. It's growth as a family man. It's all these things start to connect and converge, and you just see that progress of man, I've started from here, but throughout all these years, I've become, a totally different person, and yeah, I'm in love with that process.
When you first started, was there excitement when your mom's talking about it, or because you're getting bullied? Was there a fear and an intimidation about going into these classes and learning to defend yourself?
I never ran away from a fight like when I was younger, you know. So it was even though it was like a bully type situation, it was more so like I kept getting in trouble just because, you know, I didn't want to like turn down or turn away from the fight, you know. So I was always excited, man, when I stepped into like the martial arts studio and I knew I was going to learn, you know, how to defend myself and like learn the techniques. But there, aside from just the fighting aspect, just the art, you know what I'm saying? Like just watching those kicks and the spins and all that type of stuff, like that always kind of interests me. But so the excitement was there, man, day one, you know, stepping into the dojo for the first time and knowing that I was going to get to learn this art and embark upon this journey.
Was there that movie that you would watch on repeat?
There actually is. I think it was a movie, oh man, who was it? I think it was Jet Li that had a movie called The One. Dude, that was like, it was a tape at the time and I played the tape out, man. So yeah, the One is definitely that movie that I watched over and over again.
You're in this traditional martial arts journey. How far did you pursue just Taekwondo?
I did like traditional martial arts and Taekwondo for up to like, I want to say maybe 2 to 3 years. I ended up getting my black belt in a karate studio, but it was kind of like a mix, right? Like we started off with Taekwondo, then I transitioned to this karate studio where we also learned like Tung Sudo, and there were some Taekwondo elements to it, along with like some Kung Fu. Like, man, it was a mix, right? Because we had different instructors from different backgrounds, so they kind of taught us everything. So I guess that was my introduction into mixed martial arts, and we learned a little jiu-jitsu there, that sort of thing too. And so that, yeah, I'd say that probably 2 to 3 years, but once I got my black belt under the studio, I don't know, I kind of was wondering like, all right, what's next? You know, I was already teaching a bit too because, you know, they saw that I was pretty good at like understanding the techniques and being able to teach them to my peers. So I started teaching, and so I was kind of like, man, like, you know, all right, what else can I do with this? And one of the guys there, he used to train at an MMA gym, and that's where he learned jiu-jitsu and things like that. And he was like, hey, you should check out MMA. And I admit, at first, I didn't care for it. I was like, man, like, oh, this is barbaric. Like, what is this? Like, you know, I didn't see the art in it at the time. And but lo and behold, you know, I started competing in kickboxing, and I started watching MMA, and then like over time, I think it helped when I started competing in kickboxing. I started to see the art in the combat, you know, and the violence, you know, so to say, right? And so, yeah, once I recognized that and got in touch with the art side of the combat, then I was like, man, I wanted to try this MMA thing because it's like, you know, now it's everything. It's not just striking or anything like that. It's not just a point system. It's like you got to be good everywhere, and you're in there, you know, with little to no rules. So, yeah, man, I wanted to test myself there. And then ever since, man, I've fallen in love with it.
You fell in love with the cage. Where in this process does it wind you up and land you here at Jackson Links in Albuquerque, New Mexico?
So I was out training in Georgia for a while. I'd say the first MMA gym I went to was Ascension MMA. It was with the Asuncao brothers. So you know, Rafael Asuncao held like top 10 in the UFC for a long time, and so his brothers, Freddie Asuncao and Junior, or sorry. Yeah, Junior.
Yeah,
Junior
I think you're right.
Freddie, I think it is Junior. Yeah.
Yeah, the Freddie just throws everybody off, right?
Yeah.
You're like Junior and Rafael.
It is Junior.
Oh yeah, Freddie. Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah, man. I was training with them and for a long time, but then at some point, like it was tough to kind of find training partners that were like, not to sound cocky, but like, you know, I was becoming one of the better guys at the gym. And so I was looking for, I guess, a bigger pond, you know, so that I can continue to grow, you know, and yeah, so we kind of, you know, with some changes of gym, we set our sights out here to Albuquerque. We were kind of looking for a big gym, and, you know, of course, John Jones, you know, Jackson Link, and yeah, you know, you want to be one of the best. You got to compete with the best, and so we set our sights here to Jackson Wink, and man, me and my family made the full move out here and just fully committed. And my wife was competing at the time as well, and so yeah, that's kind of what brought us here. And man, I've fallen in love with Jackson Wink and fallen in love with Albuquerque, and yeah, I don't see myself leaving anytime soon.
We watched Lajuan's fights. You can see that traditional martial arts background, the dexterity, the versatility in your kicking game. Is keeping that traditional base something that you've always intended to do?
Absolutely, elements of it for sure. Yeah, man. I think there's a reason why, like, you know, we practice these techniques over and over again, these basics of the basics, right? And a lot of that stems from those traditional arts. And so I think, like, you know, if you start to get away from that too much, you know, which sometimes happens with like the modern training, things like that, you get away from the basics and into the flashy and that sort of thing. You know, what pleases the crowd. But I think all of it roots down to those traditional techniques. You know, the base, right? That's a big thing when it comes to traditional martial arts, is forming a strong base, right? Footwork, things like that. And so, yeah, man, it's done me well so far, man. You know, keeping the traditional kicks and techniques. So, yeah, man, I plan on continuing to branch off from that, you know, as I learn and grow.
August 9th in Lubbock, defending the title. It's Isaiah, Shaky L, and someone else that looks like they prefer to stand and strike. So how do you feel about it?
Man, I mean, I always love facing another striker. You know, I never... I don't know. I guess I enjoy the challenge, you know, because I consider myself a good striker. So it's like when I face another good striker, I get to really test that, you know, versus like it's another challenge facing a wrestler, right? Because now there's an element where, you know, maybe they've been wrestling, you know, their whole lives, and so I have to compete with that and find a way to stay on my feet so that I can stay in my strength, right? But then when both of our strengths are the same, now it's like, all right, who's really the best? You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that element excites me. But it also gives me an opportunity to explore different sides of the art as well, you know, where it comes to grappling and things like that. And so, you know, I'm a mixed martial artist, so I'm going to do it all. And so, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this challenge next week, and it's going to be a great fight.
What do you feel are going to be some of these keys to getting that victory and retaining?
The keys, well, the main thing is going to be imposing my game plan. I know that sounds, it's cliche, right? But yeah, I think sometimes in fights you can kind of, you know, test the waters and let people kind of get a rhythm, see what they have to bring. But with a guy like Saki that is a momentum fighter, you know, the more you give him, the more he's going to take. You have to immediately, you know, impose your will when the fight starts. And so, yeah, I intend to go in there and you know, immediately start putting pressure on him and not giving him the space that he wants to develop into, you know, his kicking game that he's comfortable with. And yeah, you know, I think from there, I'll be able to impose my game and start landing the shots that I'm looking to land.
Lajuan Davis, it's great to get to talk to you. Thank you for the time, sir.
Thank you for your time. Yes, sir.